It is just past 3 a.m. Your eyes open. Nothing woke you, but you are completely awake. And here is the strange part. It happens at almost the same time, night after night. So why 3 a.m.? Why not 1 a.m. or 5 a.m.? Why so weirdly precise? It turns out your body is quietly running a schedule the entire time you sleep. And around 3 a.m., several things on that schedule happen to collide at once. We tend to picture sleep as one long switch off, lights out, then suddenly morning. But sleep is not flat. It moves in cycles, each one lasting about 90 minutes. Early on, you sink into deep, heavy sleep, the kind that is really hard to wake from. This is the part I found fascinating. The first half of the night is mostly repair work. But as the night goes on, the mix shifts, deep sleep fades, and lighter sleep takes over. By around 3 a.m., you are mostly in that lighter sleep, and light sleep is easy to surface from. Now add the second piece of the puzzle, a hormone called cortisol. You might know it as the stress hormone, but really cortisol is your wake-up signal. All evening, your cortisol sits at its lowest. That is what lets you fall and stay asleep. It bottoms out around midnight. Then, near 2 to 3 a.m., something quietly flips. Cortisol starts to climb. Your body is already preparing for morning, hours ahead of time. In a perfect night, you sleep right through this rise and wake naturally near dawn. But rising cortisol during light sleep is exactly when a tiny nudge can tip you fully awake. I had to double-check this next one. Waking briefly at night is completely normal. Healthy sleepers wake up many times a night. They just never remember it. You surface for a second, glance at the dark and slip straight back under. So waking up was never really the problem. The problem is what keeps you awake. Picture this. You wake at 3 a.m. and your mind suddenly switches on. Tomorrow's deadline, that awkward conversation, the bill you completely forgot. The instant you feel anxious, your brain orders up a fresh batch of cortisol. But cortisol was already rising on schedule. Now you have just poured fuel on it. Your heart speeds up, your thoughts race, and sleep drifts further and further away. And your brain remembers. Do this a few nights, and it learns that 3 a.m. means wake up. Now you have trained yourself into the very pattern you are trying to escape. But stress is not the only thing that can jolt you awake. There is a quieter culprit. Your blood sugar. Even while you sleep, your body keeps sipping glucose to keep everything ticking over. If that level dips too low, your brain reads it as a genuine emergency. So it fires off adrenaline to unlock stored energy fast, and adrenaline does not wake you gently. It snaps you awake, sometimes with a racing heart or even a light sweat. This tends to hit people who eat very little at night, or skip dinner entirely. And speaking of the evening, let us talk about that drink before bed. Alcohol feels like it helps you sleep, and at first it really does. You drop off fast, but as your body breaks the alcohol down, it triggers a rebound. Hours later, you bounce wide awake. That nightcap is often the reason for the 3 a.m. ceiling stare. There is one more clock ticking quietly in the background. Your liver. The liver runs on its own daily rhythm, and the small hours are its busy shift. Around 1 to 3 a.m. it is hard at work, processing energy and balancing your hormones. And no, it is not detoxing in some mystical way. It is just ordinary metabolism peaking while you rest. Now, have you noticed how problems feel enormous at 3 a.m., but smaller by breakfast? That is not just your imagination. There is a real reason for it. Rising cortisol primes you to scan for threats. The world is dark, silent, and you are alone with your thoughts. A half-awake brain is wired to look for danger, so every little worry looks much bigger. By morning, the light returns, cortisol peaks normally, and the same problem suddenly feels manageable. So what can you actually do about it? The science points to a few simple things. First, pick one wake-up time and stick to it, even on weekends. It steadies your whole rhythm. Second, do not lie there fighting it. Get up, keep the lights low, and do something dull until you feel sleepy. And go easy on late drinks and tiny dinners, the things that set off those blood sugar alarms. Here is the reframe that genuinely helped me. Waking at 3 a.m. does not mean something is broken. Most of the time, it just means your body is doing exactly what it was built to do. So do not fight the wave, just let it pass and quietly sink back into the dark. If you found this interesting, like and subscribe for more.